Well, the good news is, yesterday the Niger authorities have given directive to open their own side of the border. So let's pick up with the conversation, the prospect of growth, economic, business and social. And our guest is Ibrahim Shehu Dendakata, member of the Niger Business Forum. Thank you very much for joining us, Dendakata. Okay.
Good evening, Ruth.
Good evening. Yes. Now, quite commendable decision by the Nigeria government, which experts have come on to say this will boost, the regional trade, enhance the integration among the regional areas, and also boost economic activities between the both countries. What does this portend for Nigeria?
Well, what it portends for Nigeria is that, as you rightly said, there will be resumption of centuries-old relationship in businesses across the borders, across the border points. And the losses that our people have suffered will be rectified. As we said, our estimation was that weekly, Nigerian business community was losing about 13 billion on a weekly basis over this period of time. And now that the federal government and the ECOWAS Commission have lifted these sanctions and the borders have been opened, I believe that everything will be back to normal. And now that Niger Republic has become one of the fastest growing economies in the world, we'll see a tremendous boost in their purchasing capacity, especially in manufactured goods from Nigeria and other services that they enjoy from Nigeria.
And then Dakata, of course, you agree with me that it's a multifaceted benefits from what you're saying. But the closure, had a hard toll both countries following that sanction. But let's look at the benefit. When agricultural commodities are exchanged between the two countries, we're talking cross-border trade now, there's this balance, for supply and demand, especially when we're talking food security. Now, what aspect should both countries look at? I know it took a while, maybe a few days before the Niger Republic gave directive to open their own side of the border. So trade may pick up, but what, strategy should be adopted at this time?
Well, I think on the Nigerian side, before the closure of the border, the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, gave a directive that 4 border crossings can be used for import into Nigeria. And I want to believe that that same directive is still in effect. And as at the time the border was closed, we had over about 4,000 containers in Niger Republic that were in transit to northern Nigeria. And now if that directive is still in effect, I think there will be more business coming into Nigeria. As I earlier said, Niger now, based on the things that have happened after the coup and the realities that have happened in the country, is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and they have a lot of money, and their business is 100% directly linked to Nigeria. So Nigerian businessmen have a tremendous opportunity to grow their relationship and their business capacity with the Nigerians. And again, we have that border openings that we will continue to use to utilize in our business dealings. On the issue of agriculture, animals on the hoof have been part of the daily dealings with Nigeria and Niger, apart from vegetables that cross every day and dry foods. Part of the reasons that we have this escalation in cost of food items in Nigeria is because of this border closure. Because these countries are part of the countries that produce a lot of pulses and cereals. Now with the opening of the border, we want to believe that there will be massive movement of goods and services, especially the agricultural commodities, and we may likely see a reduction in the price of these food items in Nigeria. And on our own side, we will likely see an increase in the movement of manufactured goods in Nigeria from Nigeria to those countries. So we believe that it's a very positive development, and we thank the ECOWAS Commission and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for this gesture at this time.
No doubt, and of course this decision will boost regional stability. But looking at, from the reports we saw from Christina Kebi, we heard that trade was slow, maybe because the Niger authorities took time before they opened their borders. So we're expecting that trade may pick up, right? But let's look at the synergy both countries can leverage on? If we're looking at the economic, business, and social prospects, for both countries, where will Nigeria and Niger begin from at this point?
Well, opening of border is not like opening a gate of the house. There are protocols that need to be observed, and the prolonged schism that has happened between Nigeria and between Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea with the ECOWAS Commission and the neighboring countries has become protracted. And now that the borders have been opened, we expect that within the little time, things will pick up. And the synergy that you're talking about, it has been centuries old. And not much has changed as far as the relationship between the communities, border communities, and trading communities between both nations has happened. Nothing much has degenerated, apart from the fact that we've not been able to do formal trade. And
don't forget, Dandakata, it's a new government there in Niger we're talking about. Well,
the new government in Niger they are Nigerians. They are not from any other country. They were born there and they live there, and they have the same kinship that the other regime has. It's just to us, it's just nomenclature change, and basically to both communities of Nigeria and Niger, it's just nomenclature change. The biggest challenge that we had was the sanctions. Apart from that, basically the business community has nothing to do with what happens at the top. Basically, we are more interested in having the relationship not curtailed by any legal or extra-legal means. The issue of security, one good thing that we thank God and we thank our leaders is that there hasn't been any major challenge to security within this period of time. We haven't had any reports of incursions at any point in time. So we believe that the multinational joint task force has been doing its job well, and the countries have been cooperating on that security aspect. So we don't have any challenges as far as security is concerned. Social inclusion has always been there. From the reports that we've had, we saw some women crossing the border on foot to visit their relations on the other side of the border. The sanctions have not affected that relationship. The only thing that the sanctions affected was formal trade between the two nations. And we believe that, like I said, when the sanctions were imposed, we have about 4,000 containers in the Niger Republic. And I believe that within a small period of time, our traders will still route their goods through those borders, and we'll see a lot of changes, and we'll see a lot of trade being carried out.
Well, it's good you mentioned that security is not the major challenge, but of course, smuggling and informal trading, you may want to speak on that. That is after we come back from this break. Please stay tuned. Mr. Dandakata, I was mentioning some challenges. You talked about no security aspect, but I talked about the smuggling and the informal trade. But let me refresh your memory. If you recall, the Nigeria-Niger Joint Cooperation Commission that was inaugurated in the early 70s, even though I wasn't born then, but also looking at the regional trade agreements, between regional countries. How would this help, boost economic activities and also absorb all those anomalies?
Thank you so much for this question. It's a very important question in this discussion that we're having. The Nigeria-Niger Joint Cooperation Commission was inaugurated in the early 70s, and the main thrust of that commission, which is headquartered in Niamey, Niger, and usually manned by a Nigerian at ambassadorial level, is to promote mutual cooperation, boost trade and other capacities between the two countries that have shared a century-long history of being together. And there are so many opportunities that abound in Niger, being an opening up economy, now that they have oil, and the uranium that they have is now being priced at a higher level than before, which Nigerian businessmen will have that opportunity to exploit that kind of new emerging economy as per being the older or bigger brother within the ECOWAS sub-region. The Nigeria-Niger Joint Cooperation Commission and the Northern Governors Forum should work, and the federal government should work towards ensuring that, or making sure that Nigerian businessmen have that opportunity of accessing business in Niger. Secondly, there have been initiatives within the ECOWAS Commission of free movement of goods and services, which is embedded in the ECOWAS Charter, and there have been a series of initiatives to make business, the movement of goods and services across the borders being done seamlessly without any hindrance. I remember very well this initiative of Kwani Ilela border. I was once part of the Kano Katsina Maradi trade corridor business route, and there is this one, there is Kongolam, and I can't remember now the other town, and the Megateri, and the other town on the other side. Then there's one in Doso, and in Doso, and the other town in Yobe State. So these trade corridors were inaugurated and created and inaugurated to allow the full implementation of this ECOWAS Charter of Free Movements of Goods and Services. And I remember very well when we were doing that program of formalizing that K2M, as they call it, Kano Katsina Maradi Trade Corridor, there was a lot of interest, and it generated a lot of furor within the business community. At that time, I remember very well, EcoBank provided a window where you can actually send money across the border with a very good exchange rate. I think now Nigeria and the Nigerian business community, the Nigerian government should fully look at that initiative and see these opportunities being implemented fully. One thing we always know is that when there is trade, there will always be security, there will always be peace. Trade brings peace. Trade brings prosperity. Trade brings cultural and social exchanges. And with trade, you will find that, there will be more growth for both societies.
Okay, Mr. Dandakata, just your final thoughts now. Of course, it's been agreed that this reopening of the border demonstrates Nigeria's commitment to regional solidarity, if we want to put it that way. But you're a member of the Niger Business Forum. So going forward, what aspect is the forum going to look at to boost trade as soon as possible?
I think we will continue to tax the government on both sides to really look at all the issues that hinder trade and remove those barriers, most especially things that are within the ambit of the law that allows free movements of goods and services that will hinder. If we have these issues fully implemented, we won't have informal trade going through borders, what they call smuggling. Smuggling will not be there because everything will be formalized, and government will get more revenue than what it's getting now. I think it's very important that the government officials and government agencies look at these charters that have been there for more than how many years, since the 70s, and see how they can be really fully be implemented, and see how they can create opportunities for growth for both countries. And once again, I would like to thank the ECOWAS Commission and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for what they have done with this issue at this particular point in time in our history.
All right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim Shehu Dandakata. I'm sure both countries will leverage on the opportunities therein. He's a member of the Niger Business Forum. Thank you very much for your time on Weekend File. Thank you so much for having me. You're welcome. And let's ponder on those thoughts.
Sites of tourism significance. It's a journey to Das, the headquarters of Das local government area, Bauchi State, northeastern Nigeria. Das covers an area of about 535 kilometers square and consists of 11 districts, which are Bonono, Wandi,
Bundot,
Polchi, Lukshi, Baraza, Dot, Bajar, Bajel, Dur, and Zumbul. The town is characterized by two distinct climate conditions, which